If you coming in, peace. First of all, if you coming in, hit me with something. You know what I'm saying? Let me know. You know what I mean? Oh, I see numbers. Okay, that's beautiful. So this how this work, huh? Well, you know me, I'm going to take advantage of the situation, being that this is a new, I guess it's pretty much the same as Facebook Live, but I think it's cool because, I have a little YouTube channel. Islam, brother. Islam. And I think it's cool to, to try something a little different where we can, do what we do and build. So, here's my thing. I'm going to start going in right now. I'm just going to start talking about the whole situation. When we look at the science of what's happening in the world right now, you know what I mean? Especially with I just gave out a shout out on my Facebook page to Charlottesville, Charlottesville, Virginia, for the situation that occurred with the counter protesters, you know what I'm saying, banging out with the, with the quote unquote so-called white supremacists. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because my thing here is that particular area right there is predominantly Caucasian. Islam, brother Basil. Islam. Peace and love, fam. So that area of Charlottesville, Virginia is predominantly a Caucasian area, period. So with that rally, that's the reason why they had the rally there in the first place, because the town is predominantly a Caucasian place. So in the process of having that rally, you know what I'm saying, we saw, a lot of counter protesters came out, a lot of people from other places came, and the majority of them were Europeans. You know what I'm saying? And I find that, Islam, sister, and I find that to be very interesting because it always parallels into the situation, you know what I'm saying, or what I always say in reference to racism. You know what I'm saying? It seems as if at times throughout history that the oppressor has always tried to look at the oppressed to solve the issues of certain elements that befuddle our community, but they actually come from the manifestation of institutional and infrastructural racism, right? So when we think about what's happening right now and we look at the situation, it again plays into my train of thinking, which was when I expressed to our people, you know what I'm saying, this particular situation that's going on right now, the whole Trump thing and all that, fall back, because you're going to watch a shift occur. You're going to watch, you know what I'm saying, certain things take place. This is not your conflict. You know what I'm saying? This is a conflict this is a Caucasian conflict. And you're watching and witnessing Caucasians come to the forefront to fight against ignorance like racism and other things, whatever the agenda may be. But the reality is that fall back and watch what's taking place. You see what I'm saying? Because there's something interesting that's taking place, and there's something that we can learn in the process of why this is going on. See, we don't have to fight a physical fight right now. That's already being done. What we need to be doing is taking advantage of the physical fight that's being waged, in a sense, for us, kind of like. It's kind of like a karmic retribution that's taking place on America itself. You understand? Everything has a karma. Every living thing has the possibility of having some form of retribution put on it, or some form of recompense, because it's alive. And the things you do and what you create, again, comes back. You know what I'm saying? Peace. LaDonna, peace. So it comes back. So when we take a look at what's happening in Charlottesville, I kind of see it as a beautiful thing because, see, Donald Trump is kind of making things a little interesting in a sense because of his ignorance and because of the things that he wanted to institute in the way that he's demonstrating his presidency, which is a very imbalanced, you know what I'm saying, biased perspective. And what it's doing is it's forcing the hand of other Caucasian people, because his decisions are not just affecting one group or demographic, it's recklessly affecting the masses in the country. So with that being stated, you're going to see this all over the place. And now you're going to see these anti-marches about what happened because somebody died. Somebody got ran over. A neo-Nazi ran another Caucasian over and killed him or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And a bunch of them got, you know what I mean, injured from this situation. But the great thing is that it wasn't us. I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a negative, in a bad way, like nothing came, but it wasn't us, because see, that whole situation would have been turned around as the way they're trying to turn it around now. They're trying to make the victims the criminals. You see what I'm saying? So the counter protesters are now being looked at as the bad people, right? And that's how it always works. The victim is always turned around to aid and abet the paradigm of the media. The media, because see, the media is structured from a particular way. The media is not really geared towards the people and the honest delivery of truth to the masses of people. You understand what I'm saying? So the media is used as a tool also to influence into, to spread propaganda in a certain paradigm and create a certain paradigm, of fear, as we discussed earlier. Fear, right? So when I'm thinking about this whole concept of white supremacy and racism and all those things, let's take into account of this, because this is my honest take on it. This is what I really, really see on this situation. And please give feedback. You know what I'm saying? Throw questions out, throw comments out or whatever, because you know how I get down. Participation is very, very necessary when we doing these types of things right here, right? So the racism situation for me, first of all, we know and understand where I'm about to go. We know and understand that racism is a socially man-made construct. It's a construct. It's something that's made up. It's a concept, right? It's a concept. So with that being said, that it's a concept, that means it's an idea. It really has no validity, no scientific validity behind it, no medical validity. There's nothing really to validate the concept of race, except that it was a made-up construct for the purpose of, you know what I'm saying, labeling and control and so on and so forth, for those purposes. So now that we look at it, peace to everyone. So now that we look at it, and it being a social construct created by the European people, the only way racism can actually be eliminated is by Europeans. The European has to eliminate racism. You understand what I'm saying? It's not up to us to eliminate racism. It is not our fight to eliminate racism. What it is, though, it is only intelligent that we defend ourselves against any type of conflict that may stem from racist intervention or from racist, you know what I'm saying, confrontations. We have to, peace, Brother Corey, we definitely have to protect and defend ourselves from those types of things. But in the process, it is not in our interest at all to stop racism, because we can't. Because racism is used against us. You know what I'm saying? It was something designed specifically to hold down a certain demographic and population of people. So that population can't really destroy it. You know what I'm saying? We can fight and fight and fight and fight and fight, but racism has to be eliminated by those who put it together and their descendants. And of course, you'll say, well, you got some of those Europeans. The fellow man has caused a great divide between the brother man. He has to pay for his misdeeds. Well, indeed so. Indeed so. And it's the father's, the sins of the father come back to haunt the children. 100% correct that this is occurring and that this has occurred. But the reality is that what we're witnessing is a shift in their own paradigm. You see what I'm saying? And when you look at it, of course, there are many who still benefit from their from their descendants, from what their descendants, you know what I'm saying, laid out. You know what I'm saying? From the system that was created by their descendants. You understand what I mean? They still benefit from it in a sense, because it was built on an inequality, even though it was the greatest document ever written on the planet. The intent of the document is the most greatest intent ever. But it didn't come out that way because somebody usurped that. That's why I said to my whiz that it shouldn't be a brother or sister out there protesting. Indeed, brother, because it's not our situation. You understand what I mean? It's not really our situation at all. Not this situation. This is really about them. This is about them. You see what I mean? They're the ones going through it. And we should fall back and take advantage, Islamism, brother, and we should take advantage of the situation and begin to organize so that we can gain favor. Well, actually, we have the favor that we can gain the advantage in this situation, because there is a fallout, economic collapse, crash, whatever. We need to be thinking how we're going to be able to put some things together. You know what I'm saying? For the benefit of us as a collective. That's what we're going to have to do. So when we look at this whole situation, you got to take into consideration also that this is a human situation. Humanity is at work. You see, you're seeing things that you wouldn't have seen 10 years ago when it comes down to racism. You know what I'm saying? There are many people that are loud about this situation. You know what I mean? And this has been going on forever in our country. But the great thing is that social technology has been able to open up the whole scope of how racist this society is. You understand what I'm saying? It was able to create a whole nother venue of truth in regards and evidence in regards to what we have been saying for generations upon generations upon generations. It is now being able to be witnessed. And it's a shame that almost 200 plus years later, that those things still occur, that they are able to be witnessed on social media. We should be far past that type of development. You understand? Or that type of living. Pardon me. We should be on a more developed spectrum, a more developed thought process, a more developed action. You understand what I'm saying? But we not there, man. Not all of us. And we're all striving because, you know what I mean? In order to fix yourself, it's a constant work. You must always be dealing with your own self because, see, that's what everything really is boiling down to when it's all said and done. It is about the self-preservation of yourself. Because if you are not the best self, you can't outwardly be the best self. You can't give or be what you are to be authentically if you haven't recognized you. You see what I mean? So I have recognized that there's a time and place, or as you know, certain scriptures may say, there's a season for everything. And you got to know when the time is in season for this or when the time is in season for that. Because wise thinking creates wise movement. You see what I'm saying? And wise thinking is not reactionary. Trump is like Toto in the Wizard of Oz. He's opened the curtain on the realities of American society. Indeed. He's pulled the veil back. You know what I'm saying? And he's pulled the veil back. And I believe that he honestly knows that he's pulling the veil back. You understand what I'm saying? I know he's an ignorant person. But I also know that there's cunning intact in the way he operates as a businessman. See, I see him running the country not as a president, but as a businessman. You know what I mean? Peace, brother. Indeed. So I see him running the country, you know what I'm saying, as a businessman. And when you run a business, a lot of times the most powerful business moguls, of course, are corrupt. They run all type of psychological games, all type of games. They run game. They call bluffs. They do all types of things in order to maintain and to prosper and to make billions and millions of dollars. They'll step on whoever they need to step on without no accord. You know what I'm saying? They'll dismantle them through the media. This is what he's known. This is what he's been doing all of his years. You know what I mean? Indeed, even out of the lowest lows, man can find the highest highs. And this is what we're saying. This is where we're at. This is a low for the country. But in a sense, it's a high because the exposure of the motto, making America great again. In order for America to be great, it has to be exposed at how ungreat it is. The public is unstable and the people are ungrateful. A great source says. And we can see the instability, you know what I'm saying, from both sides of the fence. Remember, I talked about fear earlier in the Facebook joint, I talked about fear, where you can see the fear from the white supremacists. In order for them to even want to white lives matter and blah, 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 they are fearing something. They are witnessing their reality possibly crumble in front of them, because no one is no longer simply just buying silently into the illogical, illiterate, racist doctrine that these cats promote. And they're being challenged by their own people, as well as other nationalities of people are uniting together to challenge this type of ignorance. See, all of this is constructed. This is all constructed. This is all a stage. This is an act. It's all constructed. It's all distractions, which is why you got to fall back and look at it for what it is. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, study Hollywood. There's a reason he made that statement about studying Hollywood, because Hollywood is a master of deception, of magic, and so on and so forth on screen. Hollywood can change a person from one face to another face, and it can do all types of things. It does all types of stuff. We know what Hollywood does. We watch movies. We understand the science of Hollywood. We understand when, actors are on a stage and they will create a platform and use the human family as the platform. In other words, this system, not country, but the system, the foreign occupation that sits on this land, will use its own people to push an agenda. It will sacrifice its own people to push an agenda. To push an agenda of power, it will sacrifice literally its own people in blood. So that's the type of system you're dealing with. So when we think about racism, racism has caused a lot of bloodshed. A lot of blood has been raised through the annals of racism on this landmass. You understand? Over 1,000 lynchings. You know what I'm saying? In our history, damn near, something like that. That's a shame. And they're still finding brothers and sisters lynched to this day. They're calling it suicides. But we know and understand it's not suicides. We know and understand it's a blood ritual. We totally get it. Because the job is to kill the male babies. Because they're still looking for the Messiah from our people. They're looking for the Messiah. But I said before, and I made it 100% clear, that there are Messiahs. There isn't just one. You can get rid of one and another one will pop up. Because see, it's spirit. You can't destroy spirit. You can destroy your body, but you can't destroy spirit. That is what continues to do what it does. Indeed, brother. Indeed. You understand? Messiahs. That's what we dealing with. So they're looking for that chosen one. They've always done it. You go back into the science of COINTELPRO, that J. Edgar Hoover started, COINTELPRO, and you look at that, and you look at some of those documents where they talked about stop the rise of a black messiah, stop the rise of a Mau Mau revolution, or blah, blah, blah. But they've always looked for the black messiahs. Now look at the history of the people who've been eliminated. Indeed, they won't be able to find it because they're looking in the wrong place. You understand? They're looking at the physical being. The Messiah isn't a physical thing, even though it acts out through a physical manifest. You see? This is what we don't understand. But we need to understand that now. So, at any time, Marcus Garvey is living. Noble Drew Ali is alive. You understand? They're alive. And well, Fred Hampton is alive because that spirit cannot be destroyed. and it will sit on another soul that is being prepared to move in a certain way. So you can't stop the rise of messiahs. There's going to be always somebody who's going to tell the truth. Because see, in this day and time, truth is the most revolutionary act one has. Indeed, Brother Corey. Truth is the most revolutionary thing one has in this time period. Straight up. Because we are living in a time of universal deceit and mass falsehood and mental slavery. So truth is the most revolutionary act. Telling it, living it, being the message that you bring. You understand what I'm saying? It don't mean you don't have to go to war all the time. You can't go to war with a warmonger whose nature is designed to be to destroy things and to be destructive. You don't want to go to war with that. So you go to war in a different way. You go to war by developing your own self emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, and aligning up with other like minds and like souls in your build. Separate from that system, even though you may live on the same landmass, because remember, the land belongs to you. The land belongs to you. This is your land. And I will say it again. What's sitting on the land, what's controlling the land is a foreign occupation that is foreign to everything and counterculture to everything that this landmass truly was about in its inception and what it maintained and contained in its inception. You see? So we're not really concerned about what's happening with them to a certain extent, because see, this was gonna happen. This is supposed to occur. This is nothing new. This was gonna happen. The goats will fight the goats. You know what I'm saying? It's inevitable because something is being threatened. Livelihood is being threatened in more ways than one. So we just take advantage of it. We just take advantage of it by dealing with us and dealing with anybody else who wants to walk in truth. You got to get past the ideal of race. You got to get past the social construct of race. You got to get past it because it's a construct. It's not real. Nobody's a crayon. You understand? And not again, you're going to have to deal with Europeans. You're going to deal with them. You see them every day in your life. And you may choose to walk around with an energy of hate. Oh, I hate white people and blah, 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 blah. If that's for you, that's cool. But the reality is this. Nobody is white. Nobody is black. Nobody is red. Nobody is yellow. You know that. Simply get a crayon box. You can look in the crayon box and you can put it to somebody's skin and see that it just don't match. And for us to even identify ourselves as colors that we are not tells you that you have been socially conditioned to a high extent to identify yourself. When a man and woman is a noun, not to be described, but to be identified, while you would identify yourself as being black, not recognizing that you're really describing yourself. You see what I'm saying? So we got to take into consideration that we have an opportunity. And we need to take advantage of the opportunity. And we need to take advantage of it like now. So people say, well, brother, what it says? Indeed, any evil will destroy itself. Well, that's right, brother. You know, I totally agree. Evil will destroy itself because evil is a manifestation and correlated to the energy of hate. Evil is an energy also, but it's also a spirit. Hate is an energy and a spirit also. So we already know that somebody who lives inside of hate, who is constantly living the hate degree, we know that they're full of ulcers and all types of, different types of stress and sickness and so on and so forth, because hate eats away from you internally. It literally eats your body, your physical body. You get sick from it. You understand what I'm saying? Because the energy and the frequency is so strong, it's so powerful, because it's a consuming energy. It eats away at you. And evil is the same thing. Eventually it will destroy itself and not even recognize its destruction, because it's so blind to its own self. The evil doesn't even know its own self. It doesn't even know that it's evil. So it's naturally doing what it does. See, certain people on the planet are naturally the shedders of blood. That's what they've done historically. You understand? So when you get that, you have to operate with that. And you have to operate with that from a different perspective. Because you can be reckless or you can be intelligent. I would say evil is a form of ignorance. I would agree. But it's also, I think, more than just the ignorance. I think evil is also it's an action. In my estimation, it's like an action. Evil is like an energy that leads you to do things that would, you know what I'm saying, that would be evil, you know? And when you look at it, I mean, see, I try to look at things from, people try to spook things out sometimes, you know what I mean, when it comes down to certain emotional and mental things. But I know and understand that man himself, he's a creator. You know what I'm saying? The universal forces have never made a heaven or a hell. Nobody has been in the universe that can find a castle with, pearly gates and little angels flying around. Nobody has seen it. We don't know if that exists or not. But I know and understand that man has the capability of making a heaven or a hell for himself daily. And he does it because heaven and hell are conditions of the mind. So when I think about evil, I'm thinking about a condition of the mind, first of all, which, of course, thought causes action. It's not necessarily that somebody may be possessed with the devil. What if this person, that's just who they are? Because that's a part of their makeup. We have free will. We have the ability to be able to choose the skin we want to live in. Indeed, Brother Tyrone. Indeed. You know what I'm saying? So it's tying right back to that lower self situation. It's tying right back to that devil. Tying right back to man. You know what I'm saying? Our 101 say, who made the devil? And the answer is Elohim. But Elohim made the devil when they made man. What did I say, brother? You said something about heaven. Let me see. Hold up, see if I can find that. Heaven is liberation in mind, body, and spirit. Hell is the opposite of the three. That's my opinion of them. I can see that. I definitely see that. You know what I'm saying? I definitely see that. Yep, I totally agree. I totally agree. You know what I'm saying? So I'm on here, I'm looking at the board as we building. So you know what I'm saying? I'm just checking the board out. And there's some things there. Yeah, evil is an action. Evil is a requisite to man. So it has to be a doing. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's a doing. It's not in the bones to reason or to think, right? But it's in man. So evil is a choice, and evil may be the manifestation of a condition or external factors, external conditions, external factors. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes we become a product of our environment if we're not careful. And that happens when you are not aware or have knowledge of yourself. That's something that can happen to you. You can become a victim, or pardon me, not necessarily a victim, but you can become a product, you know what I'm saying, of the environment. The environment can produce you. In other words, the environment can create your thought process. The environment will do it. You see what I mean? I'm working on me. I'm learning not to hate the European, but it's hard. Indeed, brother, because see, you can't hate yourself. That's your child. It's much easier. It's much easier to deal with the self. You know what I'm saying? It's much easier to recognize who your father and your mother is and who the child is. And the European is our child. You remember what your Holy Quran Circle 7 says about them and about what they are. It's the sluggish will of us that has brought them into existence. It's our sluggish will. You understand what I'm saying? If it wasn't for us, technically they wouldn't be here, right? So we brought them into existence through a crazy process, but they're here. So we have to deal with them. But there's a way in which we can deal with them. Hating the self is hating the spirit within. Totally agreed. Totally agreed. And a lot of times we show the hate of our own selves by the hate that we exhibit outside and place upon others. You know what I'm saying? That's what any lower self attribute that you manifest outside of yourself and place it onto others, that's the pain that you going through. That's the lesson that you're supposed to be fixing in yourself and learning about you. You understand what I'm saying? That's that hate. It says the lower self can breed slander, lewdness, theft, harm, everything, and hate, everything that harms, period. So, if the lower self can breed this, then that lower self is in you. That's you. So if you got hate that you exhibit outside of yourself onto other people, places, and things, then that's the hate that you really have on your own. You got to fix it. Indeed, it's a mirror. But how many of us want to actually look in the mirror and do the knowledge on the mirror and what's in the mirror? How many of us can actually take a look and actually be honest and cognizant with ourselves and tell ourselves and ask ourselves the pertinent questions in that mirror? Because when you're dealing with the mirror, see, the mirror, there's a science behind the mirror. If you know anything about mysticism and all that, there's a science behind the mirror. And when you're dealing with the mirror, you're kind of dealing with your soul in a sense. You understand? So when you're in the mirror dealing with your soul principle, that's when you begin to ask those questions. You see what I'm saying? You begin to ask the questions that you need to ask in order to remove and get rid of that hate, because you know you got it. Sometimes you hate so much, you don't even know where the hate come from. I know cats who hate so much. I've been around them and they've even said to me, man, like, I don't even know why I feel like this, why I hate. I don't even know why I hate this much. Well, I know why you hate that much, because you hate yourself that much and you don't even know that the real conflict is within, man. That's where it's at. That's the real conflict with any type of hate. Any type of hate that anyone exhibits, they have a hatred for their own selves. Period. It's really not rocket science. It's really simple when you think about it. You understand? Really simple. You know? But those are the things that we don't do. We'll read 1,000 books. Misplaced hate. You're right, Brother Dinamel. Taking the fight within when we have to utilize medication. Indeed. That's what we do. We don't recognize where that hate is coming from. We think that the hate is learned behavior. Maybe it's not learned behavior. Maybe the hate in you is a reaction to a traumatic experience, or to traumatic surroundings, or to traumatic generational experiences. Maybe you feel the ancestral pains. I don't know. But the thing is this. Indeed, reactionary. But do you think we are born with a higher self and went backwards? No, I don't. Of course we have a higher self. Indeed. You know what I'm saying? There's a divinity in us. We're divine people. But what happens is that we live inside of the nature of our flesh. Our flesh has its own nature. It has the ability to speak to you. It whispers, and you have a conflict between your flesh and your spirit daily. That's the higher self and the lower self. You see it in movies. I've discussed this before. You've seen the movies where the angel is on one shoulder and the devil is on another shoulder and is talking to the person in the ear, and the person is choosing between the little angel or the devil on his shoulder. But if you pay attention, the face of the angel and the face of the devil looks just like the person that they're speaking to. So they're giving you the science of the higher self and lower self in symbolic form right in front of you in imagery. But if you don't know the signs and the symbols, you'll just take that as a part of the movie. Indeed, prayer and meditation do go hand in hand. And the higher self will master the beast at all times. It will master the beast at all times. So, you know, just wanted to try this YouTube thing out right quick. You know what I'm saying? In 36 minutes, turn into right quick. But just wanted to give it a try and see, you know what I'm saying, see how it worked. And I thank everybody for being on. And I, you know, just for building or whatever. I could talk all night. You know what I'm saying? But I thank y'all for coming through. And hopefully it'll get better. I'll do it in a better location. I'm sitting in my truck right now. I didn't want to go in the house and do it from the house because all my cousins and everything is in the house. We're having a little cookout. So it's a bunch of people here. So I didn't want to do it from the house. You know what I'm saying? But I will be doing this more often feline fatality. I will be doing this. And the substance will be a lot more interesting also. And I also have a YouTube page with about 190 videos of all types of different social commentary on different subjects and different, you know, things. So please, you know, tune in, check my page out, Denim Hawk L on YouTube. So I'm gonna say peace, y'all.